I'm Ashley Easter.
And I'm Charlie Grantham, and you're listening to Serendipity,
the podcast where we explore everyday magic all around us. Hey everyone, welcome to the Serendipity podcast. We are actually together.
I know, for the first time, ever recording the podcast together.
Yes.
And then it's only our third time, I think, right? Being together in person.
Yeah. We've only ever recorded our podcast over Zoom. And so, I'm here for a week and we've already had so much fun. And I think we're going to talk about that today on the podcast.
Yes. This is technically, it's your second day.
Mm-hmm.
You got here Wednesday. I know it's Friday, but the story that we're going to tell happened yesterday.
Yes.
And maybe we should just talk about tarot for a second.
Yeah, I think that
just
would be
to explain, because I was taught, and I think you were too, that tarot cards and tarot readings are evil and they're from the devil, and you can they in the movies and stuff, they'll pull the devil card or the death card and it means someone's gonna die, and then they have that energy and it's a whole thing. But it's not really like that.
Yeah, no, I think we've talked about oracle cards already.
Yes.
And so they're very similar to oracle cards. You use your intuition to pull the cards, you ask questions, and they're more exploratory questions. I think with tarot, the thing about them is they have a very specific, every deck has the same type of cards with it.
Yeah.
Whereas an oracle card deck, there's all kinds of different stuff. Everyone is different, but this is for, a couple hundred years, I guess. I don't exactly know how old they are, but they've had the same amount of cards, the same number of cards. And there's a couple variations, but pretty much there's a standard tarot card set.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about that is, whereas with an oracle card deck, they come with a little book and all that kind of stuff telling you what the card means. With the tarot cards, the meaning has sort of been established over many, many years by many people. And so you can learn how to read tarot, but it's just another tool. It's just the oracle cards. And I haven't used them a lot in my practice with other people just because of some of the stereotypes about them.
Yeah.
But they're actually really cool. And this isn't my first reading that I've had with them, but it was certainly a very different reading than I've had before. So
yeah, and I think that's what's interesting about this story is because you're going to hear perspectives from Ashley, who you've gotten the readings before, and you're pretty familiar. Whereas this is my very first reading ever. I did try to learn. I don't know if I told you this, but maybe, I guess it was in 2020, I got these tarot cards.
You told me about that. Yeah.
I tried to learn, but it's really hard because they do all have specific meanings, or they're not specific, but they're kind of broad meanings. And then you have to learn all that and where they fit on the, when you deck, do them out and whatever. So then I gave them up, and I think I gave them a goodwill. But this is my first time actually getting readings. So that's what we're going to talk about. Because yesterday we were just shopping.
Yeah.
We went into this really cool store called The Lady in the Moon in Portland. And of course the dogs, we can't
I got to meet the dogs in person.
I know.
Too. I've heard so much about them.
Yeah, so you'll probably hear them in this episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll probably see them. In fact, here's Frankie right now. He's a little tiny baby angel. So yeah, The Lady in the Moon is a really cool store. They had really cool things in there, cute tote bags and little they had a ton of, I think, tarot cards for sale.
Lots of oracle cards, tarot cards, crystals,
decorations. They even had what was it, Our Lady of Guadalupe, or was it Guadalupe? No, it was
they had, it was
Mary, some Catholic
Mother
maybe
Mary,
type of.
Yeah, so I think I think I'm saying the word right. Is it Santeria?
I think so.
I think I'm saying that word right. Yeah. So they had kind of a good mix, and I thought that the shop, I don't know if it was the owner or just worked there, but she just seemed to have good energy, very
She really did.
welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in there for like 5 minutes looking
Mhm.
around. We were like, this is so cool. I had never been in. And I was like,
Mhm.
I passed the whole time. I can't believe I haven't come in.
Yeah.
And we're just, talking and looking. And a lady just comes up and it's like, excuse me. And we were like, I don't know. I guess it took me a second to realize
Yeah.
what's going on. She was like, I just wanted to let you know, like I'm doing tarot card readings back
Mhm.
here. If you wanted to. And Ashley said, well, could you do like both of ours? And I
Mhm.
said, yeah, like as best friends. And she said, oh, I thought you were sisters. So like right off the bat, it was like a good interaction. Like, and I just love the way she said it, like matter of fact, oh, like I just assumed. So the cards were like, we couldn't do them together. Like she couldn't give
Mhm.
us a joined reading
Right,
because
right.
of the rules of the like
At the
place.
shop, yeah.
Yeah, because like she kind of just seemed like maybe like an employee of it, wasn't like her own
Mhm.
business.
Right.
But we did 2 separate readings, but we were in the room together.
Mhm.
So Ashley went first.
Yeah.
And again, I've never been to this place. She didn't really know anything about us other than that we were not sisters.
Right.
And that Ashley's name was Ashley because she hadn't even asked mine yet. But when she started, she
Mhm.
said, "What's your name?" And
Yeah.
you said Ashley. So do you want to like start off because you went first?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll probably share these pictures on social media,
Yeah.
I would guess. And then I don't know, maybe we'll even, if you're watching the YouTube version,
I'll
maybe we'll pop it up.
Figure
in
out
the-
how to pop
yeah,
it up. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, but they did a 10 card spread for us. So it was a pretty extensive one and it was only 15 minutes, but I thought it was like really dense with
It was
information.
so yeah.
So you really can experience a card reading in a short amount of time and have
Mhm.
a lot of impact. So first what she did was she said, well, I asked, I was like, so is this the type of reading where you're just giving me a general reading or do I ask a question? And she was like, well, I can do either way and you can tell me your question or you can just think about your question. And I always like to give as little information as
Mhm.
possible when I don't know a reader very well, because there's some great ones out there, but there's some, scammy people.
Yeah.
And, I try to give as little information as possible until I've built up a relationship to know if they're actually really good at what they're doing, if their intuition is strong. So I was like, okay, I'll think of a question and, I'll just put it in my mind. And she's
Mhm.
like, okay, we'll just focus on that question. I'm like, okay. Should I say this question now or later, do you think?
Maybe say it now.
Yeah. So we can kind of show out time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question I was thinking of was, I have a lot of shifts happening in my intuition business and some other things I'm working on with like TV production companies and stuff. And um I've been like reevaluating everything because I love the work that I'm doing, but I was doing it in a way that really wasn't sustainable because I have an autoimmune disorder. I have ulcerative colitis, and it just sometimes flares up, and you
Mhm.
get, just days where you're not feeling good. And the pace I had been going out was just not working. So my question was like, should I continue pursuing the things I want to do? Am I actually going to be able to do them with all of these health issues that have come up for me? So that's what I was thinking of. She did not know any of that. And I'm from out of state and she didn't have time to
didn't.
Google. So.
Yeah. And it was her first day there too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't recognize her. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she did a 10 card spread, and it'll make sense if you look at the picture. And we'll put that up somehow.
We'll do it on Instagram and I will try to add it to this video.
Okay.
And if it's possible, Spotify like lets you sometimes add things. So if I can,
Okay.
I'll do it there too.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. So she did kind of sort of like the different directions. So it's sort of like a cross at first. And there's a card at the top, at the bottom, side to side, and then 2 cards in the middle.
Like they're like overlapping, but like
yeah.
one's horizontal, one's vertical.
Right. So I think the first card that she talked about was, did she talk about the center one first or the past one?
The center
one first. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one was the sun card. And she said that has a lot to do with like joy and energy and like positive things happening, and also like health and vitality. Did I get that right?
Yeah. So the center card is like what you're experiencing right now. What's
Mhm.
like the energy you have, what's happening to you, what's going on
Mhm.
with you right now in this point of your life. And she really emphasized health. She kept
Yes.
saying like healthy, glowing,
Yeah,
radiant.
yeah.
Like she like said joy and stuff too, but she was like really saying health a lot. Like I was like, wow,
Yeah,
she's
she
like
said health a
really
lot.
saying health
I
a
was
lot.
like, okay, because I'm not feeling very healthy at the moment. But then the card that was on top of it, that was the devil card.
Which
So-
I was like, had to hold back because she like put the sun down. I'm like, oh, the sun. And then she like put the devil down. And I was almost like, oh, the devil. Like, I was like, it's okay, Frank. I was like, it's getting a little hot in here. Like the devil,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm getting nervous. But yeah, okay, the devil.
Yes. So the devil card, a lot of times people are afraid of it. It has a lot of different meanings traditionally. One of them is just like rebellion, that type of thing. And it can actually be a very positive card. It's more about perception and those types of things. But what she described it, because it was overlaying the sun card, which is like the present, which she'd identified for me as being about health, was that this is an obstacle that was like impacting my current reality.
Mhm.
And she kind of leaned into it might be health. But before she said that, she said a couple of other things. It's sort of when you're like reading cards, you sort of like start talking, you get in a flow until you start like, okay, this is the one. She really focused in on health. But before that, tell the part.
Oh, so she was like, yeah, she was like, so this is impacting. She's like, no, it doesn't have to be impacting it in a negative way, but it's impacting it somehow, whether that's an addiction or like, or well, before she said that, she was like, and it's like sitting, it's so close to you, it's sitting right next to you. And I was sitting right next to her and she said, whether it's addiction or like OCD. And that was a very specific thing. I think not addiction, but the OCD was like very specific.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but I actually have OCD. And I thought it was really funny because I was thinking like, well, I mean,
right
maybe
next
this
to
is
me.
like a very literal card reading, right? But yeah, that was what she was saying before she like kind of, you know, started going
Right.
into the details.
And kind of what we discovered with it was it seemed like it was a health thing that was being impacted. And that's kind of what that
yes
was about, which really was exactly what I had been thinking in my mind, and I had not told her. But
yes.
like,
and I know that about you. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking, but like we both were just kind of like, we weren't like,
Kind
oh
of
my God,
poker
health.
face,
Yeah.
you know?
Like we weren't like when she said health, we were like health. Oh,
Right.
like, we were just like,
Okay. Okay. And then, so that's kind of the middle card if you're like looking at sort of across. So the one that came before that sort of, I guess it's east,
Wait, I don't know. It was
north, south, east, west.
Yes. Never. No, it's because it's never eat sour worms, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I never know if the eat you go, but I think you go clockwise. Okay, it's east or west.
Don't ask us
Anyway,
for directions.
It's the side where there's only one card on that side.
Yeah, it was to the left. It's
to the left. Yeah. Everything you own in the box to the left. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, the card on the left, that was is that the Page of Wands?
It's not the Page of Wands,
what one
but
was
it
that?
is the I don't know what it was called because it doesn't have the name on there, but the Page of Wands has it
Yeah.
on the words. But basically there's a wand on both sides of this person.
Yeah.
And one of them is like bolted into the ground.
Yes.
Like firm place. And the
Like
other
very
one is
established.
yeah. And the other one is like in the person's hand.
So we've got kind of these two poles, and this is the one that is talking about kind of where you've come from, kind of the past. And so describing the past, it was like you said, something kind of already established in the ground. The other pole that you're like haven't dug into the ground yet, and you're still kind of trying to find where to place that. And that made so much sense because in my work with advocacy and my nonprofit Courage 365, all of that, I've already like really established that part of my career path, and it's already like in the ground, it's running smoothly. I have people working and helping me on that. But the other one kind of is a bit where I'm at, but also where I have been of like, okay, I'm trying to place my next pole
Right.
in the ground, which is more like the intuition business and stuff with the TV production company. And so it really kind of was like harkening to like, you know, you've already put something in the ground and you still kind of have one staff up that you have.
Which is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
When we talked about this after, I was already thinking that we were thinking the same thing. And I would just realize now like how crazy it is because, you know, you're one that's very established, like that's bolted into the ground. I was there for the first one.
Yeah, for the first
Isn't
Courage
that so
conference.
crazy? And because I'm just thinking about it now, like I was there for the first Courage conference right when it was like getting started. And then it's so established now, and then
you helped with things with that.
I
Like,
was
you
like
did
doing the
filming,
Facebook Live.
all
If
this
you were
stuff,
there, I was the one. I don't know if I replied to comments. Actually, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if you could do that yet. But I was managing the Facebook Live stream on an iPad.
Yeah.
And Nate did help too.
Yes.
I'm sure he wants credit.
Yes.
But anyway,
thank you, Nate. Go listen to his episode.
But anyway, and then on the other hand, your intuition business, I also kind of was there because I was your first virtual assistant, and like kind of not the very, very beginning, but like
no, it was pretty close
to the beginning. Yeah, like a year maybe.
As I started like expanding it and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So it's also just cool seeing how our lives have come at each other and stuff through the years, and like just intertwined.
And if you're watching, I'm this chaos.
Yeah,
because the dogs, we have one in a bed, the other one's trying to fight the cat to get into the basket. So, and if you can hear it, like
this is real life.
This is just what's happening, unfiltered.
It's like you're on our little vacation.
Yeah. Because I usually mute myself if you're talking.
Oh, right.
I mute so that you can't hear what you just heard, but that's not an option.
That's okay. They just want to be on the podcast too.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have the card that is to the right, and that one is the High Priestess card. And do you remember what category that one was in? Was that past? That's future.
That's where you're going.
Yeah, where you're going. So that was where I'm going, and they talked about, number one, there's a lot of moons in the picture, and I love doing like moon circles, and I've been working with the moon for a couple of years, but I think it symbolizes like wisdom and spirituality and those types of things, which is like something that I want to become sort of, I don't need a title, but like a priestess kind of thing where I have a role where I'm helping a lot of people and people come to me. So that's really what I was looking for. And then there's two black and white pillars side by side. And so kind of talks about contrast and duality. And so
and the pomegranates behind represent passion.
Yeah. Which I want to always do something that I feel passionate about.
Yeah. So. And then these, the up and the lower.
Yes, the up and down. So I guess the one at the bottom,
it's right below the like card where it was talking about her health, and then the devil impacting.
Right.
It's right below it.
Right. So that's like the foundations. And there's like somebody holding a bunch of wands, I think 10 wands. And the reader was talking about how that's kind of like you've already done a lot of work, like you're holding all of these wands, all of these accomplishments, all these things. And that was really affirming, because it does feel like I've worked really hard, and I just want things to like start taking off for me. But to know that, okay, I have already built this foundation and worked really hard, and that's kind of being seen and respected. And that's like impacting things, like that's not going unnoticed.
She called that one the laborer. Because it's like he's like actually like in motion. Yeah. And so that's what she was saying. Yeah. Cause she was like, this represents like very hard work.
Yeah. So that felt very affirming. And then the card above it is,
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, it's the
placement represents the power coming.
Yeah, like influences from like without and above. So like universe or other things. I'm trying to remember what she said about this one. I know all the coins there.
He's working. It's like a craftsmanship type of thing, but I can't remember specifically. Maybe that one didn't really.
Yeah,
well, they all resonated, but it wasn't like it stuck out.
Yeah. So I don't remember.
It had to do with work though, and like laboring, and he has all these coins, and that's like talent, skills,
right,
gifts,
maybe like investor kind of things. Opportunities, I think, coming. So that was good. And then off to the side of the cross, there's like 4 additional cards. And the one from the bottom, that position was, let's see, how you perceive yourself and your situation. And so this one is the 10 of, what do they call those things again?
She was calling them coins, I thought.
Yeah, coins, but I think it's the
Daisy's behind us snorting.
I don't use tarot that much. Anyway, it's the one with the 10 coins.
They look like coins, but they have
yeah,
stars on them. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Was it something with a T?
maybe.
Okay. Well,
I don't
anyway,
know. Yeah.
the coins,
Um,
yellow coins.
there's like 10 yellow coins on there, and she said each of the coins like stood for like talents and like financial abundance and like gifts and skills and kind of like having it all together since there's all 10 of them.
And it's like a couple going to get married,
Mhm.
and they're like really happy, and there's an older person like giving them
Right.
a blessing.
And they even have like little pets and stuff at
Yeah,
the
they do, like
bottom.
goats and a dog,
Mhm.
maybe. Yeah.
So it's sort of like symbolizing like everything is kind of working out and all the things are coming to fruition and there's a lot of abundance and
Yeah.
financial gain is coming, which really does resonate. I don't think I want to share the big news on the podcast yet,
Okay.
but there's something that's happening
Yeah.
that my husband and I have been working on for a little bit.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all kinds of other things have been starting to, I've been feeling like things are starting to come together. And so,
And that's how you perceive yourself and your
right,
situation. So it's like,
right.
right. That's what the card, the
Mhm.
place is.
Yeah.
So it's like perfect.
Yeah. And so I asked, I said, I know this is a card about how I perceive my situation right now. Am I perceiving it accurately? And that
Yeah.
was like a follow-up question I had. And she said that, you know, she doesn't think that there's any distortion in there and that I am seeing things clearly. So that was also a good confirmation of like, okay, I'm not off track and thinking that it's all coming
Right.
together and that my life is kind of finally.
And I think we should mention we're silent. So
Yeah, yeah.
she gives the initial reading
Mhm.
silent, and then she thinks, and then Ashley starts asking
Right.
her more and telling her more. But
After the reading's done,
she's
yeah.
reading this all
Mhm.
with only knowing her name's
Right.
Ashley. So
Yes, yes. And not even knowing what my question was.
right.
And then so this is the world card. What position that was like
What's influencing you?
what's influencing you? Yeah. And
The
so
world.
she was saying the whole world, which makes a lot of sense because I am a projector in human design. And so I do pick up so much energy and I like kind of synthesize it and put it in patterns, and that kind of helps me achieve my goal. And I also want to impact a lot of the world. So it would
Yeah.
make sense that I would be also impacted by the world if I was
Right.
to kind of like
Give and
hopefully share and
receive.
give and receive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what position was that one?
That was like your fear. Well, did she?
It was obstacles, I think. Yeah.
It was well, it was obstacles, but it was also fear.
Yeah.
Whatever, because it's death. That's the
Yes, it's
card.
the death
And I
card.
remember when she put it down, I was like, well, I'm afraid of that. So but yeah.
Yeah. But it's not really a scary card because, you know, it could mean little death, but you know, what it means in this context is death of a cycle, which also makes a lot of
ending.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ending, new beginnings, rebirth is about to happen, that kind of thing, which really does resonate because there's a lot of shifts taking place in my life. And I do feel like some of the old cycles are ending and kind of disappearing, and that it's making way for new things to happen.
And that's so beautiful. The class that I was just taking,
Mhm.
that was we listened to this podcast. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the person's name, but she was just wonderful. It might be Adrienne Marie Brown. I'll find it,
Okay.
link to it. But she even talked about like we learn death from nature, like the world and nature is showing us like how to live. And so
Yeah.
when people like they do something and then it's kind of dwindling out, it's like maybe it's not the best to do this
Mhm.
anymore, whether it's like an organization or a way of life or whatever
Mhm.
relationship. They're like, no, because if it ends, it fails. And it's like, that's actually not true.
Right.
It's actually really beautiful to let
Mhm.
things die, because when things die, like in
Mhm.
nature, it, you know, when you talk about like the ground and the soil,
Mhm.
it actually fertilizes for the new
Right.
things. And so it's actually a really beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
I'm just thinking about that with that card, is that it's the end of like a cycle. And
Mhm.
that's like a really beautiful thing, because that's
Yeah.
a mirror to like nature, and like what's
Right.
more beautiful than nature. So
Yeah, absolutely. So it ended up being a good card.
Yeah. All of that to say, it was a good card.
And then the last one was the outcome. And I think is that the Knight of Swords? I think that's the Knight of Swords.
I think the Knight of Swords. Yeah.
Yes. And so there's four swords. Yeah. And she said that kind of is like the culmination of like where you're going, like what is the potential outcome.
Mhm.
And that there's like 3 swords hanging up, which kind of are like work that you've done, battles that you fought, and just kind of things that you've accomplished. And then in the picture, the guy is like laying down on like a golden bed, and the sword is like gold and it's underneath him. Like he's kind of laid down his sword. Like now he's at a peaceful time. He's accomplished a lot of things. He still has gifts and talents, but he's not in a place where he has to keep fighting, like putting it all up on the
It
wall. And
represents peace. Like,
yes.
yeah. Because even I think she said the Latin word for peace is pax, and it's on the card.
Yeah.
And
in the crown of, I think,
yeah,
that
in the crown.
picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see it there.
Yeah, so it's all about peace, and like you worked hard and
Right.
now
You've
are,
accomplished the things
yeah.
you want to. And so she kind of zoomed out and like talked about everything and said that basically where you're at right now is you have kind of some health that is impacting what's happening, but it's going to be very manageable. It might not be something that's curable, which again, she didn't know what I had, but yes, it was.
She
an
said
autoimmune
chronic.
disorder.
She said
Yeah,
it,
she said chronic.
Probably, or she didn't say probably, but she was like, it might be something chronic. And she was like, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
It's not going to take you out. This isn't like,
it's not like going to get in the way of you achieving things. And the ultimate end of it is like accomplishing the things and feeling at peace, and not, I took it as like not feeling like stressed and rushed and like, how am I going to get this done?
Right.
Which is like exactly the answer to my question was, am I going to be able to keep doing the things I want to do while I have this chronic illness? And the answer to that was yes. And then paired with that, like, am I going to be able to do it in a way that's sustainable and I don't always feel like burnt out, because I did that, not really taking care of my chronic illness and just doing all the things. And so I think the last card about like being at peace and like working out and finding how to manage things, that it's just going to be like, which was, I don't know, it was so meaningful.
It was
and
so specific.
She didn't even know what question that I asked.
Yeah. And she was like blown away when Ashley told her, like Ashley told her, and she was just like, she looked surprised. Like she was just like, oh my gosh, like, wow, thanks for sharing that. And she was just like, she gave a little more insight, but I think it's interesting because it's like where you're going is the high priestess, which is like success and whatever with your passions. But then and the outcome is peace, which is like really is literally the answer.
That's what I wanted
to your question. And it shows your past as established one thing and in the process of establishing another thing, which is directly related to your question.
Right. Yeah. And also like somebody might say, sorry, my foot's falling asleep a little bit there. Some people might say that, oh, well, those are just all really like random things that could be applied to a lot of scenarios. But like none of that could really apply to my relationship, because, you know, there's not a health thing involved with like my love relationship. It doesn't apply to like a question about what specifically is my next move in business. You know, like it was very fitting for the question. And I'm not sure how you could have worked that smoothly into very many other questions.
And even if that was my reading, that wouldn't have applied to me.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't have, I mean, maybe if I twist really, but I don't know. Like, like it was very specific, and you could tell she was so thoughtful. Like she even like after she gave like the initial like reading before she said about the chronic health thing, she was like, let me look at it all together. And she just paused, and everything she said seemed very thoughtful. And it was great. Like, and I was thinking, because I didn't know your question, but I know you. And so I'm thinking like she's saying all this stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if this is actually a question, because this seems very very specific.
That was the cool thing about sitting in on somebody else's reading that you know really well, because you're kind of like, you don't have to wait. Like I didn't have to wait for you to tell me what everything meant. I think there was one card that I was like, I wonder what that means for you, but everything else I was like, I
basically the same thing for you. I was like, okay, well, this is very accurate. I was getting very excited for my reading, because I was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be like this. So it was really good. Was there anything else from? There probably was.
I'm sure there was, but those were kind of the main things. I want you to tell people about your cards. Let me pull that up.
So I was nervous. I was like about to have a panic attack. I really was like, I was sweating, and I was like, I can't breathe. Maybe I should just not do it, because I was I get nervous sometimes about things that I feel like I used to not be able to participate in because I'm like,
That makes
okay,
sense.
this is it. This is what is actually going to send me all the way to hell.
Right.
Even though I don't believe in it.
Right.
So anyway, but once Ashley went, I actually felt a lot better.
Good.
And so I was like, I don't know what should my question be about? And so she asked me like to think of it. Again, I didn't say it out loud. All she did was ask my name. Then like I split the deck and she took the cards and she started like putting them down and she was just like almost done and was like, oh my God, there's a lot of wands. Like she was like, there are a lot of wands. So my question was, like I said, I have OCD and I had a really difficult time. I don't know how long I've had it, probably I can remember things maybe to about like, where it's like, okay, that was clearly like OCD, probably
Right.
like maybe like 10 years old, 9, well, probably actually before that. But anyway, it got kind of like out of control, I think for probably a lot of reasons, that I don't need to get into, but it was like really bad. Like I think I've talked about like 2021 like was just a horrible year for my mental health and it was really because of OCD. And so I'm still feeling like the aftershocks like of that and like just a lot. And so my question was, because especially lately I've been having things where like I'm managing it with therapy, but then it's like a roller coaster almost where I'm like doing great and then it like drops and it's like, why is this happening? Like why, I'm working so hard at like, why am all of a sudden I feel like I'm starting to go back to this really horrible place. And so, and it's been upsetting me lately. And I even like told Nate about it like a week ago or not even, I was like crying because I was just like, and so that was my question. My question was, am I ever going to be able to like overcome this? Like, I know it's not a curable thing, but am I ever going to feel like I'm in control and that it's not controlling my life and that I'm not thinking about it like every day and like, or like multiple times a day and whatever, like, can I get past it? And that was my question. And my question was actually like, I was either going to like ask about that or ask about something with my career or school, but then I went with OCD.
And one thing, just for people who are listening, if you're not familiar with what OCD is, a lot of times people say like, oh, I'm so OCD because I like all of my pens in order or something like that. Like it's different. Like it really is a painful thing and it's like anxiety based. And so it's like not fun. It's not fun. It's not just because you like to organize pens or whatever.
Yeah, you should look it up. If you don't know, the World Health Organization listed in the top 10 most debilitating illnesses, like not just mental illnesses, but illnesses, period. And I totally believe that is true because it is really shitty. So anyway, so that was the question. And so she was like, wow, there is a lot of wands, like ton of wands. So the first one is the one in the center that's like, where are you right now? Like what's happening right now? And there's like a ton of wands, like, and this guy, unfortunately, we didn't get a picture, like, cause the
top cards on top of it.
But here's the description: ton of wands. This guy's like holding on to one of them. He's like looking out into the distance, and he has a bandage around his head. And she was like, "Wow!" Like she was like, "This is a lot of wands. You've worked really." She started by saying you worked really hard, and that really quickly went into no. It's actually you've been through something. She said you've been through like a battle. That's what she said. She was like, yeah, there's some type of battle that you've gone through. Like something has happened to you and you've gone through. And I was just like, and she was like, see that he has a bandage on his head. And I'm thinking, okay, like OCD is my brain. Like bandage on the head. But now the guy is looking ahead. So you've gone through something and now you're looking ahead, like past this battle, like you're done with this battle. And I have described, when I told this to Nate, I don't know, did you see his face last night? When I said this specific thing to Nate before saying anything else, his eyes got really big.
I think I was just focused on looking at the cards maybe.
Yeah, well, his eyes got really big because I always tell him that I feel like it's a war or a battle. Like
I did see that.
Actually physically fighting. He like, before he even said, because he knows how much I describe it that way to him. And so I just, again, I'm like, the one on top, which is what's impacting
Mhm.
what
Is currently
is currently
happening.
happening, is the Knight of Wands. And the knight, she was like, this is like the like victorious winner. You have won the battle. Like she was like, you went through a battle, and not
Mhm.
only you're just like looking ahead from it, you've actually won it.
Yeah.
And my question really was, will I be able to overcome? Which
Mhm.
is like a very much battle type of
Sure.
word, I
Sure.
think.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is. Like
and
conquer.
conquer,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, and she was like, this knight is like, you're victorious in this
Mhm.
battle. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like that makes me feel good. Like I was like, all of a sudden I was like, wow, like it was answered right off the bat,
Mhm.
basically. And so that was really cool. But again, I'm just like nodding. I'm not like doing anything,
Mhm.
The onto the left side, which is where you are coming from, your
Mhm.
recent past, is the Page of Wands. So again, this is 3 cards in, it's all wands so far.
Mhm.
um and this represents like a novice, a learner, a student,
Mhm.
something like recently that I've been learning or whatever. And I, as probably everybody knows, I just started my Mastery Public Health program in the spring.
Right.
So brand new, as a student in the program, but also it's been
Yeah.
a while. I've never been in a master's program, and it's been a while
Mhm.
since I've been in school. So brand new. And you were thinking the same thing, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I
And
was.
that,
I
yeah.
was like, I know what that is.
Right. She really was emphasizing like student and learner. And so next, the one below
Mhm.
the like center, like what's going on, is the foundation. And when she pulled it, this was probably the only time we didn't have a poker face, because she pulls it. I looked at you and I was like, oh my God, because it was the Hermit card. And like months ago, Ashley did coaching for me, and she did my human design, which
Mhm.
we have an episode on. But when I did the coaching with her, she like went into like depth with it.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that like I'm a manifesting generator, I'm a specific manifester,
Mhm.
and then like there were like things like, I don't remember exactly, but it was like one of these things that you
Mhm.
that I go to, that I need to do. Like this indicates something that I
Mhm.
need to do
It's
to
like
be
one of your strategies. Yeah.
right. Strategy was the Hermit card. And that ties in, this is all gonna make sense. She told me when she was coaching me, she was like, you have to like be a hermit like once a week or something. Like she was like, I mean, that's not a hard and fast rule, but like you
Right.
need to do something to where you're not doing all of this stuff
Mhm.
like school and work and whatever. Something where binging Netflix for like an
Mhm.
hour, reading a book, taking a
Yeah.
nap, something that feels like rest to me, to
Mhm.
where like, because that's how my
Yeah.
brain and my body
Mhm.
processes.
You take in so much information, like your body has to like soak it
Soak
in.
it in, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I definitely feel, because I get my body, like sometimes I'll get too much information and I
Mhm.
feel tingly, like my
Yeah, like
actual,
saturated.
yeah, I'm like, I'm overstimulated with
Yeah, yeah.
knowledge. Like,
Yeah.
and so that was something she told me months ago. And then I went through this course that
Mhm.
basically, this is going to be a long story, so I'm not going to get into all of it, but I had just been telling Ashley this
Mhm.
literally not even an hour.
Right, we were walking in a different store.
Different part of
Yeah.
town. So Catherine, our
Mhm.
reader, was not there. Okay. Like this was not even close. But I was telling her, I was like, I realized that I'm just busy. I'm so busy, and I
Yeah.
feel like I have to be busy, and I'm a perfectionist.
Mhm.
And I didn't even tell you, but I want to do a whole episode on like perfectionism.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but I was saying like I always said I wasn't a perfectionist, because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh no, because I know that's not a good thing to be, because it's like based on trauma, and like I
Right,
know like
right.
that's not like a positive thing. And so I would say, no, I'm not a perfectionist, but really I was just branding it something different. And I'm like, oh, I
Mm,
have to know all this stuff, and I have to be the best, and I have to get 100,
right,
not a 98, because I want to help people.
right.
And that's just another brand of perfectionism. And
Mhm.
so I was like exhausted from like saying yes to everything, doing everything. And I learned in this class that I need to rest. And it reminded me about the hermit, about
Mhm.
how that like that is how I process things, and how I will be good at things because I'm
Mhm.
actually allowing myself to rest.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the energy I'm pulling from. That's the placement of that card, which is so poetic, I think, to me, to pull from rest and to pull from
Mhm.
that. So I was immediately like, okay. The top one is the tower. I think this is the one that you were like, I'm not
Yeah, I was
sure.
like, I I knew it was gonna be something positive, but I know that that's sort of another one of the scary cards, and I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder what what you're feeling.
Which
right
is funny
now.
because I wasn't scared at all.
Really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't know what it meant at first.
Yeah, because it means like total destruction.
Yes. Once she said destruction, but I didn't feel
Yeah,
scared at all.
yeah.
I knew exactly what I wanted to like,
Mhm.
how this related. And so this is the placement of like something that's impacting you
Yeah, from like outside.
from outside. And she said, okay, so this is like total destruction. It's a swift destruction and it's a total destruction. And what I was kind of thinking of two things.
Mhm.
One is that I want to do like sociology. I wanted to go
Mhm.
in public health because I wanted to work with basically dismantling systems of oppression,
Yes.
and that even the tiniest ways, but like that's, and I very much think in the terms of like on like a
Mhm.
macro level of like society, and like how can we like, you know, systematically like fix these things.
Mhm.
And so when she said destruction, I was like, ooh, I want to destroy things, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But also,
Smash the patriarchy.
right, destroy. But also, I want to go into like the area that I'm specifically interested is reproductive health, women's health, and specifically maternal health.
Mhm.
Like big, like I am like just really, really interested. It's very, very like a strong passion of mine. And before I even, and this was again after, this is not in the middle of her reading, after when I was telling her, before I had just said that, her eyes lit up and was like, oh my gosh. She was like, and I was like, yeah, with everything that's happening with Roe v. Wade,
Yeah.
and that was overturned very swiftly. And that was a
Right.
word she
Yeah,
used.
she was swift. Yeah.
Swift,
Destruction.
destruction, and it's impacting, you know, what's happening to me now, which is
Right.
I'm in school and
Right.
yeah.
And
so
that definitely would impact the work that you do.
yeah,
That law being kind of not
Right.
federal protections
Oh
anymore.
yeah,
and so it's,
100%.
like, very,
Yeah.
very relevant.
Yeah, very, and it's very specific to like my passion too,
Yeah.
because
yeah.
it's like, I don't know. So then the card to the right is your future, and the future is, I don't remember what this guy was called.
I don't know if they said what he was called. He looks like
A joker.
he
or
looks like a
something?
joker, but
Yeah,
I don't
that's what I
know.
was gonna
That's
say.
I don't.
But
I
he
don't think
has
that's
like
what it is.
these coins, the things we've been calling coins, and he has them in this like little loop thing,
Mhm.
where he's
Looks
like,
like an eternity symbol.
yes, yes. So like, and he's doing this like basically.
And remember, coins mean like talents
talent.
and
Mhm.
skills and those kinds.
And so she said this was, she specifically said though, one of these coins is
Mhm.
something like knowledge, gifts, talents,
Mhm.
and then the other one is finances, like money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, so it's this balance of like you giving or like the knowledge and then finances. And I
Mhm.
don't know if she said it, but the way I took it was like me like giving the knowledge and then receiving the
Right.
finances.
Compensation. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said, and it's a balance. It's not a hamster wheel. It's like this very
Yeah.
gentle, which I thought was really interesting, because if my two cards I was just talking about,
Mhm.
the Hermit being very wise, gentle,
Yeah. Yeah.
rest, and then the one on top
Mhm.
being destruction, very
Right.
opposite,
Mhm.
very opposite. And so I thought it was interesting about the balance too, because I feel like
Mhm.
those need to be balanced,
Right.
because I can't be like wanting to destroy everything
Yeah.
constantly the way I want to do, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
I need to be able to have
Right.
the wisdom to like rest.
And you need to be able to, like, I think one of the biggest traps that advocates of any type, whether it's abuse prevention, whether it's, other social justice issues, is wanting to give so much but not getting compensation for it, or
Yeah.
not, like, it's some of the hardest jobs that exist, but they pay often the lowest.
Right.
And so really balancing, like, you need to be able to have financial compensation while you're giving to other people, because it is a balance of taking care of
Yeah.
you and taking care of others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the one on how I perceive myself or my situation or whatever, again, more wands. 4 wands, they're like decorative with like, you know, greenery and stuff. And it's like a couple that just got married and they're really excited. And I don't fully remember exactly what she said about this.
Mhm.
I think, because I think she elaborated more, and
Mhm.
I don't remember, because it kind of like it just
It was
basically
just very joyful. I
very
think,
joyful. Yeah. which by the time she got to that card, I was feeling very joyful.
Yes,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, well, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The one above it is something impacted me or influenced me from outside, and it was the
Mhm.
Queen of Pentacles. Oh, Pentacles.
Pentacle.
That's
That
what
was
the
it.
coins
Ah,
are.
yes, yes. Pentacles.
Yes, and she has one pentacle, and she is like just looking at it with such gratitude. And so some type of motherly
Mhm.
energy or force, whether it's a
Mhm.
person or something, is influencing me. And
Mhm.
I'm very influenced by my mother because we talk like
Mhm.
all the time. So I
Yeah.
did think of her. But also I've like something in my eye. But also like there was a exercise that I had to do for this class where
Mhm.
it was basically making a friend with a tree, and
And we were literally talking about that like
1
before we
hour.
came in.
Yes. And she and I had told Ashley that was what really motivated me to make the change. Is once I made friends with a tree,
Mhm.
I realized like the full feeling of like resting and not needing to
Mm.
produce anything and not needing to like I don't have to like deserve my existence. Like I just exist and I deserve to be here. I deserve to feel, and that's what really
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of inspired me to become more restful and like trying
Mhm.
to rest. So and the tree, Mother Nature, is what I thought about, and she said mother, like mothering
Right.
energy. And so, and then the thing that I fear or like
Obstacle.
obstacles is the Knight of Pentacles. I don't totally remember what this
Um,
meant.
I want to say that like I think she said something about him kind of being in charge of all the other knights, and so
Oh,
also was that when it was use your words wisely? Is that
no, that
point?
was for
No.
the other
Okay.
one. But that isn't like a leadership type
It's
of
like a
thing.
leadership thing, which I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think maybe that's something that you want, but sometimes you think about like, is this right for me? Kind
Can
of,
I,
yeah, like
can I, should I,
imposter
do
syndrome kind
I
of stuff.
deserve to
Yeah,
say something?
yeah.
I don't know anything. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Even
can
though
I?
like you have like your whole life has been studying, so
It's
like so much.
definitely imposter syndrome, I guess. But okay. And then the last one, which is the outcome, was the Page of Swords. And
Mhm.
when she didn't say this for your swords,
Mhm.
which again, it's interesting because
Mhm.
they're both swords, but she said for mine, she was like, so swords represent like intellectual.
Mhm.
And so it's actually like learning and like being able to I don't know if she used the word master the swords or something.
Mhm.
So it's like mastering the intellectual, which goes back to two things that have come up. One, my
Mhm.
question, which was about can I overcome this, which
Yep.
is in my brain, which is like basically like kind of you could say intellectual
Mhm.
um thing. And then also all this that has to do with my schooling and my
Mhm.
learning and my like what I want to do with my
Mhm.
career really resonated with me. But she did go back once she went and looked at everything again. She came back to the tower about destruction,
Mhm.
and she said something that was really interesting. I don't know how she kind of got started on it, but she was like, you want to be careful with your words. This
Mm.
is so crazy because this is something that I feel like I was telling you after this. I used to just like I just was like wild where I would like feel something and I
Mhm.
would write a blog at midnight and post it. And it's
Mhm.
like, who does that? I just was like, gotta get it out there. Like,
Yeah,
gotta get
yeah.
my thoughts. I would like tweet as soon as I thought of
Mhm.
something. Maybe I shouldn't have tweeted, but I did it, and so that kind of led to some people like not understanding me.
Mm.
And um, you know, I kind of changed the way I was. And it is my gut reaction to just be like, oh, I'm angry about this. I want to say
Mhm.
something. I want to do something. I want, like just impulsive.
Right,
And
right.
I've been trying to not be so impulsive. And we had just been talking about like on the way to the shop
Mhm.
about comedians and how
Yeah.
they are able to communicate things in a way that isn't like maybe it is a controversial topic.
Mhm.
But like Dolly Parton, for example,
Mhm.
maybe said things about like getting like a COVID vaccine, which is a very like political, it
Right.
shouldn't be, but it's a very
Right,
political
right.
thing. And nobody got upset about her comment.
Right, because she
She's
kind of said it in a joke.
yeah, like she said, like, don't be a chicken,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and whereas like maybe some other people say things in a different way and it
Mhm.
gets taken.
Also,
Um,
that your words have a lot of power too.
yeah.
I think that's another thing with that, particularly with the tower card being destructive, like we haven't talked about this too much, but like the goddess Kali, she's I believe a Hindu goddess, and she has like the two sides of her. She's like the one that has all the men's heads
Oh,
on
nice.
like the skulls of men that she's killed. But it's like she has like this great destructive piece, but also this
Mm.
creation piece. And so I think particularly with what you want to do, like working within systems, like you have a lot of power to destroy things, but also you have the power to like create things. And
Oh,
so I think your words
yeah.
are kind of the thing that you can use to destroy the things that need to be
Yeah.
destroyed and create the things that do. And I don't know, that just kind of
And
came
that's
up.
interesting because writing is like my favorite thing. And I've even more so like before I started public health, I did sociology, just a ton of writing, and I loved it. And I almost like, oh, should I do public health? Because I just want to write, like not even like in a fictional way, which is fun too, but like I'm talking like this is what needs to be done. This is the problem, whatever. And I've been doing it a lot in my classes, like even, I mean, I've taken, this is my 4th class I'm in right now. It's reaffirming that, oh my God, I just love to write. It's like one of my favorite things. So kind of like what you're saying, it's something that I am passionate about, something I want to use, and I have to be careful with it because they have great power. And I can create things.
With great
destroy.
power comes
great
great responsibility.
That was like, I took a class in sociology in undergrad. It was like the sociology of race. And the last day was called Spider-Man Day. And I'm like, what is this going to be? And it was like, she said, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. Now we're going to talk about what we're going to do with our knowledge. And I was like, that is genius. Every class should do that. Like the last day should be like, yeah, like this is what you learned. What can we do now that you have this? But anyway, so it was amazing. You were thinking almost everything I was thinking.
Yeah.
And when I told her my question, I said, this is really resonating. And I told her my question. She was like, oh my gosh. She was like, my daughter has OCD. And I was like, what?
And she said that she has a chronic
illness and her daughter has OCD. I was like, wow, like how
serendipitous.
Yeah, how serendipitous. Like, and she was so sweet. Oh, and I told her, I told her how I just started school, and she was like, oh, congrats. Like you could see like the surprise in her face, and that she was genuinely, she saw the connections, and she was like, almost like she was like taken aback by it. But she obviously is very good at what she does. Very like sensitive, compassionate. Like you said, she has like a mothering presence.
Definitely a mothering presence. It felt very safe. I have had some card readers who felt like it was very much in their ego for them. It was like, I will tell you your future. Like they didn't say that, but you just kind of got those vibes. And when they would say something, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't resonate with me. They would like really push back on it. And
where she was like, does this feel right?
Right. And not in a way that like, she said a lot of things before she asked if it felt right. So it wasn't like she
wasn't trying to
checking it, but just more like checking in with for understanding. And if
she wasn't like the devil, does that feel right?
Right.
And then she's like, sunshine, does that feel like she didn't do that?
Exactly. It was like after she'd done like a big portion of the reading. Yeah.
So it's really fun. It was like, I was like on a high after that. Like it was like really cool and fun and just like really positive. I think what's crazy is like people like, and I used to think this too, like it's scary and they could tell you something negative and like whatever, but like Ashley got the death and the devil card too,
and
which
got the tower card.
And I got the tower. So those are like the worst ones, right? But they're not really. Like they ended up, the tower was like my favorite one. Like out of all of these, I'm like, that's so cool. Like destruction, like because of what my question was. And so yeah, anyway, it was really fun. It was like a great experience and I'm glad that we did it and that we got to like tell the story. And it was just like super serendipitous. And the fact that she thought we were sisters.
I know. And we are sisters in our hearts.
We are. We always call each other sister. We say we're soul sisters.
Yes.
My name was almost her name. Well, we talked about that in one of our first episodes. My mom almost named me Ashley, and at the last minute she was like Charlie. And so like for her to just say it like, oh, I thought you were sisters. Like, I don't, when I see two girls, like, or two women, I don't think they're sisters. I think they're friends.
Right.
I'm like, oh, they're friends.
And I mean, I think we kind of look alike.
I
and
can see it.
But you know, I'm not sure if I would have guessed that we were sisters just from looking at it.
No,
So
and
that was kind of
it's
the
also
thing.
not that we don't look alike in terms of like your hair's short and
Mhm.
mine's long. So it's not, sometimes people have
Right.
two blondes,
Uh-huh.
their hair is the same
Yeah,
length.
yeah.
It's not like that. Like,
Right.
I mean, we are the same height basically,
Right.
but her hair's short, my hair's
Yeah,
longer.
we're both petite and
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so it was really fun. And you know, all the normal stuff. Leave us a review. If you send us a
Yes.
screenshot, we'll give you a free gift, which are these beautiful custom artwork with butterflies that say
Yes, so pretty.
serendipity. So email us at
Mhm.
pod.serendipity@gmail.com or DM us. What's our
Yes.
Instagram?
Serendipity.pod.
Serendipity.pod. They're reversed.
It's like vice
Reversed.
versa with
Yeah.
the email address. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also if you have like a cool story, we would love to hear
Especially
it.
about this.
Yeah, if
I
it
wanna
had to be
hear.
like a tarot card reading or an
Yeah.
oracle card reading, I would love to know also like if you had one that felt very predictive and like
Mhm.
you read something and like it came true, you know, like
Oh,
I would love to
that.
hear those. So yeah, you can send those to the same places as well. And if you leave us a voice note on our Instagram, we can, you know, potentially put that on with your voice.
Yeah,
which
like
would be
on
a
the
lot of
show.
fun.
That would be, yeah,
Yeah.
I love when we get to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see you again, and thanks for listening.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.